But I think the main things is at the end of the day, volleyball is volleyball. It's in the same 9x9 court, and the rules are the same. So we. Is that on the back of your shirt?
Yeah, it's on the back of the shirt.
You did. A little free shout out for you. And it doesn't matter who's on the other side of the net. You need to still execute to the best of your ability if you want a chance to win.
That is right, Brett Walsh, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the 9x9. This is the 81 square meters of the best volleyball on the internet. We are back. My name is Everett DeLorme from Toronto. That is Rob St. Clair from somewhere outside of Atlanta.
Yeah. I'm in some random town in Georgia. It's been an interesting couple of weeks. 2 weeks ago, I was also in a random hotel room when we last did a show, and in between then, Everett has gone to Brazil and back. So thank you for dealing with our schedule. Everett I'm sure you have quite many stories, some of which I hope you can tell us, some of which I hope that you can tell me when I'm in Toronto next week, which is very exciting. So just put this on the record now, next Monday, like 5 days from now, in-person show. In-person show.
Let's go. Yeah. I was down in João Pessoa, Brazil, with Volleyball World, covering the Elite 16 stop down there. It was a lot of fun. So anyone who followed along with the content on the Beach Volleyball World account, thank you. It was fun. It was my first time doing volleyball. It was first time in Brazil, first time doing volleyball in Brazil. And man, like, volleyball down there is just another level. There's just a level of appreciation for the game that I've never felt anywhere else. And I mean, obviously, all the conversations are happening in Portuguese, so I don't really know what's happening and what's going on, but you can tell that the people are into it and they're watching, and that they love these players. They were there from like 8 a.m. all week long. They had like literally ultras, like groups, with the flags and drums and singing all along the entire time. It was magical. And also, I got to see what I think might have been the greatest matches I've ever seen in the finals, between Norway's Moral and Sorum against Qatar's Sharif and Ahmed. It was an all-time classic. It was two heavyweights going toe-to-toe, just swinging like haymaker after haymaker, big plays. And Qatar had knocked out the Argentinian team, and Argentina versus Brazil, already a rivalry, but the Capo Grosso brothers took down one of the big Brazilian teams, Avandro, and shushed the crowd afterwards. You can see this, actually shot this video and posted on Beach Volleyball World. They got into each other's face. And so after that, the Brazilian crowd was just against the Argentinian brothers, which just kind of fueled them more. So when Qatar beat them in the semis, everyone was cheering for Qatar, and they were going against Norway, and Norway kind of came back. If you want to check it out, you can go check it out on VBTV. It's up on demand, and you can use our code VS10 to get a nice little subscription there. But yeah, Rob, it was a lot of fun. I got to meet Jiba, made a little video with him as well, which is pretty cool. He commands so much respect. Like, he comes into the stadium and everyone just immediately stands up, and everyone in the stands rushes over to take a video and a picture with him, and it was pretty cool. But beach volleyball in Brazil is pretty rad.
It sounds rad. It's just so cool to be in a country that has that level of respect for the game, and for a guy like Jiba, like an all-time great player like that should be that level of celebrity. Like, he should, and he is, and that's awesome to hear. And we're not done with volleyball in Brazil, because you get to go back, right? You're going to, is it Rio or Sao Paulo?
Rio. I was in Sao Paulo on Monday, and I still 12-hour layover. So we got in, went into the city, and took a little visit. Me and Andy, who was one of the events operators for Volleyball World, another Toronto guy, or actually now Edmonton guy, but another Canadian. And I'll be heading back next week. I'm going down to Rio a little bit early, go do a little bit of a touring and vacationing in. Might see if I can catch a SuperLega match if there's any in town. I made some CBV friends from the Brazilian Federation, and they're gonna maybe show me around in some things. And then the Rio Elite 16 is in basically just under 2 weeks now, so I'll be headed back to check that out. But hopefully we have a little bit more time when I'm there, because I'll be traveling before to rip a podcast while I'm down in Brazil.
That would be fun. I mean, again, people put on your calendars Monday afternoon, our time. We don't know the time, but I'll be up in Toronto, and I'm very excited to hang out with Everett in person in his city. And get a live show out of the way and have some fun chats and have some fun times. So that'll be a good one. But speaking of volleyball in Brazil, Everett, we have some recent news.
We do.
For whatever it's worth, I hate that we have to talk about this every year, and we can have these opinions on this show as opposed to other platforms. Brazil is also hosting the Men's Club World Championship the second week of December. It's a brutal one. We talk about it every year. It's the biggest waste of time tournament in all of volleyball, and it's expanding to 8 teams this year whose time will be wasted instead of the usual 6.
I just don't understand how we were like, yeah, let's expand to these teams, right? Let's not go to the best leagues in the world. Let's expand to these teams.
Dude, it's rough. So I'll read this down. This is December 10th through 15th in Uberlandia, Brazil, which I have no idea where that is. You have Trentino,
in the
reigning champion. In the middle of the country? Okay, so there's probably not even that much of a volleyball culture there. I mean, I'm sure
they actually do. The Uberlandia club has been around there. Actually, one of the they sponsor a few of the beach teams as well. So apparently Uberlandia is actually has a decent volleyball culture.
Okay,
I learned a lot about Brazilian volleyball over the past week, Rob.
I bet you did.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that's good to hear. So Trentino and Lube Civitanova will be making the journey to Brazil from Italy, from Europe more broadly, because as this tournament works, you take the top 1 or 2 clubs from the previous season's continental tournament, and you give them these bids. So Trentino won the European Champions League last year, obviously, which is for the record, is a club tournament that actually matters. They win that. Jastrzębski Węgiel from Poland got second, so they got an invite to the Club World Championship, but as has been the precedent set by Zaksa over the past few years, that Polish team that gets the invite politely declines. And so the next European bid goes to Lube Civitanova, who got tied for third in Champions League last year. So they're going. You get Sada Cruzeiro, who won South America last year. They're from Brazil. You get Ciudad from Argentina, the second place team from South America. You get a third Brazilian team, or a third South American team, second Brazilian team, and then 2 teams from Iran and 1 team from Egypt. Yikes.
Yeah.
Yikes. Personally, Everett, I'm surprised that Trentino and Lube are even spending the time. I mean, now, neither of them are playing Champions League this year, which is remarkable in and of itself. And we'll talk about Champions League in about 2 or 3 weeks. But neither Trentino or Lube are playing that, so maybe their schedules are a little more flexible. But, I mean, the field in this tournament is bad every year, but it still makes me scratch my head every single year about what are we even doing here.
Yeah, I don't really know. I'll be honest, Rob. I'm looking through some of these rosters, and I mean, Ali on Volleybox doesn't even have a full roster for this season.
That's the Egyptian reigning champion, or I guess it's the African reigning champion, right?
The African reigning champion. Yeah, you're right. Gareth Mwangututia did play for them last year, according to Volleyball the Fox. Other than that, it's like essentially what I'm assuming. Roman Garcia Alvarez is. Oh, Garcia! It's the Cuban libero.
Yonder Garcia?
We're big fans of Yonder Garcia.
Yeah, he can play.
He's actually one of the few guys who's on the roster for this year. So far, so there's that. Sada Cruzeiro's roster. They have Douglas Souza this year. Lucas Sakamp.
Yeah, Wallace is still there, isn't he?
Wallace is there and back playing. So they're all right. Just very Brazilian. Like their one foreigner is Juan Velasco from Venezuela. Kaya Klube, which is Uberlandia. Lucas Lowe is
a fringe national team guy.
Yeah.
Like, dude, we're scraping the bottom of the barrel here. Remember when Sada Cruzeiro had Yoandi Leal and Robert Landy Simone? And like Facundo Conte and like Gord Perrin was there for a hot second, and like Uriarte set for him, and like DeCecco I think might have been there for a hot second. Like that used to be a team, man.
Yeah, I don't really know what we're doing with this. And the thing is that this event I feel like has the ability to be really fun. I think it has everything if it was just done a little bit better. I don't know if we have the ability to just copy paste what soccer does in general in this situation. It would be almost better if you did it in two different tiers. You know, if you had like a two different separate events and you had almost like a qualifier, right?
Yeah, like a
Like
Challenger Cup analog.
make all of these secondary level teams from other countries play each other to become the winner to play against the big good teams, right? And like you can have one team from Brazil from Brazil, aka South America, maybe two teams from Europe, and then make everyone else play for it, right?
Yeah, dude, this tournament suffers badly in the name of equal representation from all the continents, and you just end up getting terrible fields. So yeah, there would be a serious overhaul necessary to make me like interested in this tournament. I mean, when Zenit Kazan used to win Champions League every year, they would go play in it, and them versus Sada Cruzeiro in the final was usually a match. Like,
dude, there used to be years where North America would send a team. It would be a team from like
didn't Trinity Western play one of those years?
Trinity Western played in 2011, but this is what they had one of their big rosters, and they beat the Iranian team. I think they had 27 blocks in the match in a 5-set match.
Whoa.
Yeah. That was Trinity Western back in the day.
But still, there's terrible pool play games every single year. Like last year it was in India. There were terrible games there. Like even Hawkbank went, they stunk it up like that. Just this has always just been a nothing tournament until maybe the final. So
I mean, this year's maybe the worst.
This is bad. This is so bad, dude. Even Lube this year isn't really very good, and they're not even like good in a fun way.
Watch this be the first time they ask us to commentate.
Oh god. That totally would happen. All right, enough about the Club World Championship. It's happening. It was announced within the last like 2 weeks since we've done a show. So
the women's we're hoping that the women's version is better.
It usually is. They usually pick a better place. Like I'm pretty sure it was in Turkey last year, so that's much better.
I think the big thing is that right now there's no Russian teams, and the other teams are the Polish teams, and they play so many matches that they don't care about the Club World Championships.
Good for them,
right?
Honestly, good for Poland. Good for Zaksa in the first year after they won Champions League for having the balls to say no to this tournament, and they kind of set a precedent that I respect, and hopefully it's that is being considered by our FIVB friends about how to overhaul this thing to make teams actually want to play in it. But again, that's enough of that. Speaking of Poland and the PlusLiga, I think we should start there, Everett, because we were kind of waiting.
I do want to say one more thing. I don't know how, like, Japan has a good league now. I don't know how we don't have Japanese teams in this.
Thank you for bringing this up.
The AVC, the Asian Federation, needs to do a much better job at monitoring who plays in your tournament. What is this deal of you just picking up all stars for the continental tournament, winning the bid when your regular season and the actual tournament, like there's absolutely no point. Japan needs to take this event more seriously and to get it going, because man, I don't know if you guys, I've been watching the SV League, and I think we need to start adding the SV League in the stuff here, because stuff is happening. TJ has been having a year so far over there. He's been putting up some highlights. Shawan Vernon Evans is leading the 4-0.
Hey, we'll get there. We'll get there. I have a whole, I really want to spend some time on the Japanese League at the end of the show, because as a little bit of foreshadowing, you can watch it on VBTV now. So there's a lot more reason to talk about it. But I'm glad you brought it up, because the Asian Federation, their calendar for club makes absolutely no sense, because you get these Iranian teams that pay big names like Namir, Irvin Ingapet, or whoever to come in and try and win the Continental Championship, and then they go the next year to Club Worlds and are a complete non-factor. So that sucks. I did hear, I think somebody in the Discord said that Japanese teams will be like that this will be done better for next year, and the Japanese teams will be likely to win that tournament and go to Club Worlds.
Good.
So that would be better. But yeah, we'll talk about the Japanese League later, because I'm interested in it too, and I know you've been digging into it a little bit. Let's start though in Europe. Let's start in Poland. We just got done watching a match that we were kind of waiting for it to finish up before we start the show. I just grabbed these standings. These are fresh, updated standings as of the match that ended about 20 minutes ago. Luke Lublin is undefeated at 8-0 after a very convincing 3-dong over Zaksa just now.
This team is a freight train, Rob.
They're sick, dude.
This team is we were messaging earlier, and this team is textbook roster construction. This is understanding your roster. This is understanding your budget, and this is maximizing every single position in there. This team is firing all cylinders. Their matches are an absolute vibe. I think they have the best home atmosphere in volleyball this moment, right?
Wow. It's
I
up
watched,
there. It's up there.
I watched Savierci play yesterday, which I rate real high, and I found Lubin to be way more hyped today. So, yeah, like this. What can you say about this team? Is like they're just so good on so many different levels. I think. Yes, Leon has been fantastic. He really has. But I think so many different guys have been able to step up and do well. Like Talis Hoss and Marcin Kamenda are two guys that I think have really done wonders for this team. And yeah, they're just a pleasure to watch. They're playing such good volleyball right now. Hottest team in volleyball.
Oh, definitely the hottest team in volleyball. They're playing a fun style, like you said. They're playing clean. They're a very good blocking team. I'd be curious to dig in and compare their blocking number. They're like team blocks per set compared to the rest of the PlusLiga. They've got to be up there. Another 8 today against Zaxa in 3 sets. Like that, that's rock solid. They play relatively low errors. They're pretty good from the service line. I like them. They're really well constructed. They have that wrinkle where like your 2 foreign middles and your 1 foreign libero only count as 2 foreigner spots because the way that it's done in Poland, and that's outstanding. And Everett, watching this game, let me know if you think this is crazy, but I think Lublin is kind of the exact inverse of Zaxa right now. Pretty much the exact inverse. Zaxa. So Zaxa's only foreigners they started. They only had 2 foreigners in the lineup today. One of them's Eric Shoji, the libero. And the other is Igor Grabelny, who's half Polish, and I actually don't even know if he.
No, I'm pretty sure he's naturalized. I'm pretty sure.
He? I know he's Polish Belgian hybrid, so I don't know which one he counts as. But like, other than that, they have like Rafael Shimura, who is valuable. He won a PlusLiga last year with JW, but he's your 3rd scorer. Then you have 2 young Polish middles and a backup Polish opposite, this Rechko guy, while Bartosz Kurek gets healthy. Why are they not playing Kitigoy? Like, you got to have a guy that can score. Like, put him on the right side. Like, do something. So I don't understand what they're doing with what the little that they do have, but they have like their distribution of star power and like Olympic caliber guys is basically the exact opposite of Luke Lublin, who have spent their Olympic caliber guys on the 1 superstar outside hitter in Leon and the 2 middles and the libero. Meanwhile, and Grozdanov plays for Bulgaria. Bulgaria's not in the Olympics, but he's one of their very best players. Then they have like the Polish role player setter who does a great job, and kind of an underrated Polish opposite in Kevin Sasak, who I actually think is quite good. Whereas Zaxa, you only have Shoji, Dave Smith, who's healthy but for some reason isn't playing, and then Janusz, the setter, and everybody else is like kind of an afterthought. So
yeah, I haven't hated what I've seen from Zaxa so far this year. I don't think this game is a good representation of what they can do, because Lublin is a freight train right now, and everything's going for them. But yeah, when you look at who started this game, there was no point that I thought Zaxa was going to be competitive, right? When you see Zaxa come out with Igor Grabelny and Rafael Shimura on the left side, that doesn't really strike me being as like, oh yeah, this is gonna end basically the only undefeated team in volleyball season.
Nope.
Like
and it didn't.
it didn't. Like it's just not good enough. So like I think this Zaxa squad is probably around like an Olsztyn Gdansk of old level, sitting in that 5, 6, 7 range. And we'll see what they can do with it. But yeah, no one's touching Lublin right now. And I mean, this Zaxa squad is going to be decent. Like if they can once they get back Bartosz Kurek, they're going to get back some scoring power. Yeah. That's going to be a big thing for them. And then maybe they can go out and pick up a left side, or Kitigoy can figure it out. But I mean,
I want to continue to pump the narrative that not that we know anything or not that we have any sources, but I want to see Irvin Ingapet the Zaxa.
Me too.
They
Absolutely.
need him. They have the foreigner space for him, and they have his hand-picked head coach in Andrea Gianni. Yeah. Irvin Ingapet the Zaxa in the New Year transfer window. Book it. We want to see it.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll see. We'll see if that comes true. But Yeah, it'll be interesting. I mean, right now, I think the PlusLiga is definitely the most interesting league in the world.
For sure.
There's no doubt about it.
So many teams that are like legitimately worth watching and legitimately dangerous, and like
but not only that, I think like it has some interesting teams, but even the other teams have some interesting storylines. When you look at guys like what Amin has been doing at Scraw has been fantastic. Like
Scraw's 5-2.
5-2, and I think that Amin and Scraw playing together has been such a good pairing. It's two people a team and a player who kind of needed to rehabilitate their image. You have Chizoba, who's been lighting it up for Kuprum, and Kuprum Gorzov is currently sitting in a playoff position. I know
they're in a Polish Cup spot. I mean, that I think to me is the league-wide storyline right now. Is I don't remember the date, but there's a race to stay in the top 8 to even get into the Polish Cup. And that's actually kind of how I wanted to talk about some of these lines this week, because there's been so many games since the last time we did a show that I kind of want to just like look at the standings and talk kind of team by team. And Kuprum is a good one, because although they've lost 3 in a row, they've played 3 good teams, and this Chizoba kid is lighting up the world.
Yeah, this is a team that we were expecting to be in the relegation race. And now the relegation race, once again, what makes the PlusLiga so spicy this year is the fact that they will have, 3 teams eliminated, going down from 16 to 14. So the fire is underneath these guys' butts. But if you look, all 3 of those bottom teams already have wins this season, which is
Barkom Lviv picked one up in their last match against Norvid, who's another team that we talked about 2 weeks ago. That's been an absolute roller coaster. Norvid's last 5 matches, they beat Zaxa in 5.
Yeah,
they get donged by Zavierche.
Okay.
They beat Stalnissa in 4. It was like last week, and I watched that game. Pretty good match, and Stalnissa's decent. Then they get donged by Barkom Lviv, who was previously winless. Then they turn around and beat Resovia in 5 like 2 days ago. Like, what the hell is going on with this team?
So I think there's 2 stories there. First and foremost, I think Patrick Indra, right?
Yep.
If you're talking about breakout players so far in the PlusLiga, you have to go with Chizoba and Patrick Indra. Maybe Amin a little bit, but we've seen this before from Amin. It's just been gone since 2022. We saw
Wait a minute. Somebody in the chat has an all-time comment. Norvid Chenstokhova is the Robin Hood of the PlusLiga, stealing points from bigger teams and handing points to the smaller teams.
Who said that? Oh, that's so good.
That's outstanding. Semi, I don't know who you are or where you're from, but that's really funny. Thank you for that.
That's so awesome. But yeah, it's true. Like,
it is true.
But I think Patrick Indra at Norvid has been very, very good. He has been the guy to really push things forward. And like when he's been good, they've been good. I mean, 28 points against Resovia, 34% efficiency, which is not too bad when you're getting 44 balls chucked to you.
Not a volume.
Way. But then on the other side, you have a resurgence in Mlada over there for Norvid. And this was a guy who could barely touch the floor where he was in the SuperLega, right? Like I can't even remember where he was. Yeah, because he was just like a third option. Like we saw him in the middle for a little bit, and then right. He was a non-factor on that team, and to see him go into the PlusLiga and be a factor again like this is really, really good. And both of these guys going off, both Mlada and Amin going off, maybe there's actually some good things for Iran coming. Maybe. Especially since, did you see who's going to coach Iran?
Is it Roberto Piazza?
It's our guy, Roberto Piazza. So I have never seen Iran play in person, but I hope and pray we get to see him live in person in the VNL, because we've got a coach who's going to give us the scoop. He is going to tell us what he thinks.
That is going to be such a window into Iranian volleyball that I've always wanted. And also the guy giving us that window is just an all-time character. That's going to be tremendous.
Plus, let's be honest, just from a drama side, this is either good. It's going to go one of 2 ways. Right?
Yep.
It's either going to be amazing and Piazza and Iran are going to be like,
or he's going to get fired after week 1 of VNL, just like the last couple coaches.
Exactly. Or it's going to be another. It's going to be another quick firing. But
awesome. Anyway, Norvid, I really like. We talked about him a couple weeks ago. They're fun. They're a roller coaster. I love the Robin Hood nickname. That's absolutely hilarious. On the other side of that game, this last game they played is a team that we really got to start looking at here. The grace period is over for Resovia, Everett. The grace period for Resovia is over, and now it's a problem. They are 2-5. They are
Also,
2-5 with that roster.
That makes sense.
There's a problem.
It's hard for me to criticize the coaching on that team because I've seen what that man can do on the national team level. But maybe if this is the case that everyone's saying that Canada would never get along without, Thomas Samavuo, and maybe that is the case. But hey, it's looking like he's not necessarily a be all end all of coaching. But to be honest, when it comes to Resovia and that Zhezhov organization together, I don't really know what goes on in the background. And like, we thought that going from Druzga to Ropret was going to be a step up. And something tells me that Drasovian fans would want Trishka back anytime over Ropret right now.
I don't know what the hell is going on there. It's like, it's the whole being less than the sum of its parts. It's pretty remarkable how Resovia continues to have this happen to them year over year over year, where they throw money, which they have, at pretty good players, which they bring in, and then the product on the court is just not good enough somehow. And at least that now, to Rosovia's credit, most of the time that failure comes in the playoffs. Most of the time they're damn good in the regular season. Like a year or two ago, they were the 1 seed in the playoffs, and now, like, they're not even in playoff position right now. It's only 7 matches in, but they are 2-5, and it's a problem. And the game of theirs that I watched a week or so ago was a good one. Them versus Warsaw in a great 5-setter. And Łukasz Kozub, their backup setter, came off the bench in that match, and they improved. So something is definitely going on. Some not being on the same page, or something with Gregor Ropret just not getting the most out of that roster right now. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I really don't. And you look at like losses to Norbit, losses to Warsaw, like they've beat Katowice and Lviv. That's right now. They lost to Lublin. When you look at their losses so far, it's maybe not the worst.
It's like mostly
you're losing
good teams.
To Warsaw, Zawiercie, Lublin, who's now a truck, and JW, right? So they didn't get to play Nissa at the beginning of the year because of the floods happening in Nissa.
Right.
So that match has been postponed. And then they came up against another really hot team in Norbit. So the next little bit they have is going to be telling, because they have Olsztyn, Gorzhov, and I think that's going to be a big toe-to-toe matchup if they can get over Gorzhov, because once again, Gorzhov, like Kuprum, is in a playoff spot so far, like is in one of those Polish Cup spots. They're not. That would need to be a big win. And Gdansk. So you have 2 teams who are used to being in the playoffs, one team who's sitting in a playoff spot, and then you follow that up with Skra. So I think the next 4 matches for Resovia are going to be the most telling. If they need to come out at least 3-1, like 2-2 won't do it over the next stretch. They need to come out at a bare minimum 3-1 to be able to start righting the ship on this season.
Yeah, I agree. Now, their strength of schedule is an excellent point. I kind of think about them as the anti-Skra in that way.
Yeah.
Skra's 5-2, Resovia's 2-5, and Resovia's played mostly good teams. Skra has played mostly bad teams. So when they play each other in 3 or 4 games, like you said, I think that's going to be a big measuring stick. But just eye test so far, it has not looked good enough. Just dumb, weird, confusing mistakes. And I had a proposal in the Discord that I kind of want to echo. You know how we've been calling an embarrassing, like when a team lets a ball fall in the middle of the floor in embarrassing fashion, that is obviously a Piacenza, of course. I think we need to develop a variant of that when a recycled ball that comes high off the block that should easily be covered, and that ball does not get covered. It hits the floor in between players. That might need to be called the Resovia, because their block coverage is a complete train wreck. They're these easy balls that every other good team in the world keeps up off the floor in block coverage, and they just can't do it. They just stare at each other. It's kind of infuriating.
Which is wild to me, because from getting to watch some of Vuo coach for the past few years, it's like those types of details that his teams take care of.
That's right.
So I really don't know what's happening over there. Like, do you just have a bunch of divas and no one's willing to do the dirty work? Like, I think Chebul is maybe not what he used to be. Bednor's, like Lucas Vecina. I don't really know what's happening with that roster.
Vashina was out for a little while. Chabul was bad. They got Vashina back, and he played against Norvid and was largely pretty good. 16 points on like respectable numbers across the board. And Boyer hasn't really been the problem. I think he's been fine. But yeah, they got to figure something out there. I think the coach, setter, team, general attention to detail, all of it right now is not good enough.
I will say, Rob, that people look at Canada now and be like, "Oh my God, they've gotten so much better." But they were 3-9 in the first under Tuomas Samuel, right? So we'll see how he can do over the course of the season.
We will see. Speaking of Resovia and another team I want to talk about, that Resovia-Warsaw game was a banger. Very fun a little over a week ago. And the hero, Everett, was somebody who I would have never predicted. And that was Linus Weber. Linus Weber off the bench, 16 points, 50% efficiency, and 4 aces, including 3 in a row in the 5th to help him win it. And when a guy like that who has all the physical tools but absolutely none of the consistency or control, he catches fire 1 or 2 games a year, and Warszawa put him in and got the most out of him in the exact right spot. And probably the next game he'll go right back dispatching the ball to the back wall once or twice a game. But it was very fun to watch, especially the run he went on in the 5th. I'm pretty sure it was 3 aces in a row.
Damn. Yeah, I can see here in the stats that he had 4 aces and no errors on 18 attempts and came in out in the 3rd set. So, wow, that's huge. I also like when I'm looking at this, and obviously I didn't watch this match, so I'm just reading a stat sheet right now. But when you look at the distribution of points for this Warszawa team in this match, you have 5 different athletes in double digits. Shalpuk with 19, Kukunowski with 15, Kevin Tilley with 13, Bolange with 11, and
he wasn't even very good. He was real low efficiency, and he got yanked.
Oh yeah, okay, I see that now. Yeah, 8 for 21 and 10% efficiency.
Pretty bad. So, but you got double figures in scoring out of 4 different positions on the court, which is outstanding. And I think it's time, Everett, to talk about: do we need to put Kuba Kokhanovsky in the most elite tier of global middles?
I always thought he was.
Yeah, I think he's right up there with like Simon and Loser. I think he's
100%.
He's that good.
This is what makes this Polish roster just so deadly in general. When you have that ability to switch between Kuka Kopanovsky, Biniak, and Norbert Huber,
yeah,
like you add those 2 guys to Lozer and Simon, and like that's the best middles in the world.
Yeah, and I think Kuba's the most complete of the 3 Polish middles. Love his speed off the floor. Yeah, 15 in this 5-setter, 9 for 11, 4 blocks, 2 aces.
That's crazy.
Love it.
4 blocks, love it too, especially at his height, because he's considered an undersized, right?
That's he's like, about 6'6", maybe.
Yeah, and it's all in his ability to close quickly, get his hands over the net quickly. Like, he is textbook.
He's awesome.
Someone needs to do a breakdown of Kuba Kokhanovsky.
Resovia in that game, 26 from Boyer, which is pretty huge on 50 attempts, and basically nothing from anyone else. So they got to figure it out. What other team should we talk about? Zawiercie, they've been nice and clean the last couple weeks. They lost that 1 game to Warszawa that I think we already talked about. Have been 3-0 since, and Matej Biniak is back.
Yeah, I mean, is back. They got a nice 3-0 win. Really ran through Gorzhov. And remember, Gorzhov has been playing some pretty good ball and have one of the top scorers, but they really shut him down. I think Aaron Russell has arguably been one of the best players in the world since the Olympics.
He's my pick for MVP of the PlusLiga so far.
Yeah, but you're biased, so you don't get a choice.
Well, he did win Super Cup MVP for whatever that's worth.
He did, but they're just playing Zawiercie, is like you said, they're just playing really clean volleyball.
Fun to watch.
Fun to watch.
And they did this last run they've done without Bartosz Kfolek too. Patrick Waba has been the other outside hitter.
Yeah.
And they put let me see Chizoba's stats in that 3.
Only two errors and got blocked 3 times in the 3-set win over Kuprum.
48% efficiency as a team. Yeah, that's outstanding. And yeah, Chizoba 17 points, 46%. Like, so he's lighting it up and getting looks like no support at all.
Tavares with 3 aces and 19 like leads them in serving attempts at 19. It really is too bad. Let's just say, Rob, that I'm privy to some new group chats. And I'm privy to some new group chats, and there's
we can talk about it next week when we're in person together, but we should probably tell the people a little more about what's been going on.
Yeah,
we'll talk about it
next week when we're in person. I think that's a good time. But there was a discussion about where Tavares would rank as a setter if he was for a good international team, right? And we give that benefit of the doubt to someone like Isabel Hawk, and we include her amongst the elite and some of the best, even though she doesn't play for a fantastic international team. But where does Miguel Tavares rank on that scale? Where does he fit in? Because over the past few years, he's really continued to establish himself as maybe the most underrated setter in the world.
He's good. He's really good. I think he's at or very near the top 10 setters in the world. I think he's up there, if not the best serving setter in the world. And I've said that even before this particular stat line, which is outstanding. Like you said, 3 aces and a sweep and leading the team in attempts. I don't know if the Isabel Hawk comparison is fair, because Hawk is very, very obviously a top 4 opposite on the planet. You can see the club production, and setters are a little harder to place in that way, but I rate Tavares very highly. I think he's awesome. And if you haven't watched much of him in the PlusLiga, you should. And now you can, because it's on VBTV. There's no excuse. So go check him out. I really like him. I like his game a lot.
Yeah. So overall, I really like this Everett team. They have the depth. They have the different guys. Like, they don't have any foreigner troubles. You've got veteran guys like Yuri Glider who are
love that pickup.
He's just such a ball of emotion, and he adds another edge to a team that most teams don't have in volleyball. He's that third line type of grinder that when you need to throw him out, like who can still play some puck, but if you need to throw him out there and get into a fight, he will and gladly do it. And then also, like, on top of all the star power, you have Luke Perry, who talk about someone who's underrated because of their national team. This is a dude who's the captain of their national team, because that's how important he is, and he's really proved himself again and again on multiple club stages. So yeah, this Everett team, once again, we talked about textbook roster construction. Like, as we mature into this PlusLiga season, there's so many teams that have been good, but Everett, Lublin, and JW so far are it for me, and actually Warszawa as well. Like, that's a really good top 4 right now.
It's a great top 4. And so we've covered, I think, basically all of the teams that have meaningful storylines or results from the last couple of weeks. The last one I wanted to talk about is Olsztyn, on the very opposite end of the spectrum. 1-6. They are a train wreck, and they lost their coach. Their coach stepped away from the team.
Wow. Who was their coach again?
Another Argentinian guy, because Javier Weber left last year. I don't remember the new guy's name this year. He was also from Argentina, and he was out after
Juan
5,
Manuel Barrial.
Yeah, that's him. Thank you. Out after 5, maybe 6 matches, and they are floundering.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think this roster construction is terrible.
It's not. It's not. With the exception of Jan Hadrava, who is terrible, and depending on him to score any points is embarrassing.
Yeah,
and it is bad roster construction. But other than that, no, I agree. I don't think they're bad. I did hear that they lost Amy Teravaporti for a little while, so I think they're going to be without their starting setter for a few weeks at least. Somebody Polish in the chat, let us know. But yeah, they are floundering. A flapping fish with both of its eyes on the same side of the flapping fish, a flounder flapping around. That's what they're doing.
Joke doesn't work. You have to explain it.
I don't know if do other countries have the flounder fish? I have no idea. That's a goofy fish.
We've all seen whatchamacallit. Little Mermaid. That's what I was looking for.
Yeah. All right. Enough about the PlusLiga. I think we covered it. In decent summary over the last 2 weeks. Everett, where would you like to go next?
I think we need to go to Italy next.
Men's or women's?
Let's start with the men. We'll stick with the men here as we look at some of the results from over the weekend. And
So
where you look
the
at
results
this, Rob,
we got here are from 2 weekends ago.
Oh, sorry, 2 weekends ago. I apologize.
Yeah, 2 rounds to catch up on. A lot of chalk, man.
Yeah,
a lot of chalk.
Yeah, this is why I said the PlusLiga is a little bit more interesting right now. There's just not been much going on in the SuperLega. Of course, some of the matches have been good, and we can always watch them on VBTV. But just a lot of chalk out there. Perugia continuing to dominate. Modena just doesn't have the horses. Having to check was great, but you just don't have anyone to put the ball away. Verona putting down a nice little 3-donga against Grottazzolina. Civitanova has really righted the ship over the past few weeks with a nice little 3-donger there over Monza. Padova over Taranto. Piacenza over Cisterna. Like Trentino over Milano. Is there anything worth talking here?
But honestly, no.
Someone in the chat is saying that Milano versus Trento was a banger.
It was a good game. Like 31-29 in the first. Like there was good volleyball at moments. I think Milano kind of played about as close to their ceiling as they're likely to. Regers was good, 19, but like Trentino's better than them, and that's like my summary of this entire round of games. Lube Monza is the only one that is still a question mark to me because we still don't know what the hell Monza even is. But every other one of these results, Trentino is better than Milano. Perugia is better than Modena. Piacenza is better than Cisterna. Verona is better than Grottazzolina, and then Padova and Taranto both aren't very good. So like none of these games are just really very interesting to me. I don't think they have these games don't tell us anything.
No, they really don't. They really don't at all. Other than that's pretty much chalk. There is one match from this week, Rob, that is slightly interesting to me, and that would be Verona beating Lube 3-1. Once again, I didn't watch it, but damn, Nomori Keita with 27 points, 26 for 42. And yeah, he was on the left side. And you're kind of getting your wish here, Rob, with Donovan Das Verona on the court and Nomori Keita, but Mads Ked Jensen continues to play and like he was a bit of a liability, got blocked 3 times and made 3 errors, but he did get 13 points and get 2 blocks. So there's that. But when you have Keita dropping 26 on 42%, hitting 62%, like
Keita is a freak of nature, dude, and I love him.
He really is.
I absolutely love watching him, and I want, for his sake, for him to play his actual position.
But at this point, like,
Rock Mozic isn't back yet. He's the most important player on Verona, not Keita, not anybody else. But when Rock Mozic gets back, everything changes. And I hope to God at that point, like I said, Rock Mozic and Donovan Zavaronic need to be the left sides, and Keita needs to be on the right. And anything other than that is a fireable offense for Stugchev. But he's done so many fireable things and he's kept his job after so.
If they bench the Rock Mozic after everything he's been through and he's done for that, like, if they bench him, they need to get rid of him at the winter break. There's no way that the Rock Mozic can play a backup role, essentially the Mads Ked Jensen. Like,
it's completely unacceptable.
No absolute way. And then there's no way possible that if you are the Verona club, that you can allow Stoichev to do that.
No.
Because from what I understand, what that man means to that club and that community and like what he's done for them, that would be a fireable offense. It should be a fireable offense.
And obviously the Rock is not back yet. When he is ready to play full minutes, that lineup must be Mozic and Zavaronic on the left and Keita on the right. There's no other answer. There just isn't. So hopefully they figure that out. But speaking on the Lube side, who lost this game in 4, the Growing Pains, brand new setter. Offense doesn't look good enough, in my opinion, yet. Eric Lepke looked good, so I'm sure you're happy with that, Everett. But what are we doing not serving Nomori Keita relentlessly? How is Nomori Keita 3rd on Verona in receptions? It's insane.
And I mean, he passes all right. Like, he's over 40% positive. So that's
he is the worst objectively and based on every scouting report in the world. He is the target. You have to serve the ball to him.
Yeah, I just don't know. Like, what is Madej doing over there? Like, really, that is, as a 14-year-old coach, coaching 12-year-olds, I was doing that, being like, hey, this is clearly there. Hey, Shaina Joseph's over there. She can jump high, but I don't think she can pass. Let's underhand serve at her.
Ridiculous. Also, our Turkish people in the chat who
Semi is Rodman's hair.
Is Rodman's hair. Yeah, I noticed that. Shout outs to him. Our Turkish people in the chat are very good friends who are important to our community. They don't have a chill bone in their bodies, and what I'm about to say is not going to make them very happy. But Adis Lagumja looks like trash. Adis Lagumja looks like trash.
Adis Lagumja does look bad.
Looks like trash. And Lube is going to change, similar to Verona. Lube is going to change when Alex Nikolov gets back. Okay, so that's why I'm not making any sweeping takes about Lube as a team yet. But Adis Lagumja looks like trash. Maybe Boninfante can't set him. Maybe all the Turkish people are going to freak out and yell at me that Boninfante isn't good at setting him. Adis Lagumja does not look good so far. That's what I'm saying.
I might have to do a volley metrics deep drive into Lagumja, and just to see if he's getting a good, like, how is he hitting that ball right now? Because the thing is with this team is that I think you're going to have some up and downs with Boninfante. Like, especially if I look at a guy like Eric Lepke, he is a bit of a rhythm hitter, right? He needs someone who can dish that ball for him to open things up. Same things with Matteo Bottolo, right? Matteo Bottolo isn't a guy who's going to be able to go out there and manufacture his own type of points. So this is a team whose roster construction is highly reliant on a good setter, and they don't have a good setter, right? Like, that's kind of the long and short of it.
It is. They certainly don't have a proven setter. I actually like the little bit I've seen from Boninfante so far, but it's I agree with you. The way this team was built from the ground up this offseason makes absolutely no sense. Like, none.
Yeah. I wonder when, I can't remember when we started hearing rumors about DeCecco going to Modena, but I wonder when they lost it.
Good question. Speaking of Modena, they got beat 3-1 by Trentino, and Modena played honestly about as well as they kind of could, especially Tommaso Rinaldi, 25 points on 22 for 36. I didn't even know he was capable of an offensive game like that at the SuperLega level, but still wasn't enough. Trentino's awesome. Micheletto was good. Gabi Garcia continues to be good. Keep an eye on that. And I don't blame Modena for struggling in this one. I mean, I'm sure they were probably a little hungover from celebrating Daddy Stankovic's birthday, so I would have been in exactly the same spot.
Yeah, I'm very uninspired by the SuperLega right now, Rob.
I am too.
It just doesn't get me going the way that other leagues have been and other things have been. So, but I do think that, we talked about some of those breakout guys this year in the PlusLiga. You have to think that Gabi Garcia is on that list, just in the general form, in the way that he has played, in the way that he's played this year. Honestly, it's a little frustrating as a Canadian fan. I want him to look like shit. I want him to look like. I want him to look bad.
Do.
I want him to be the reason that be like, hey, let's go after, because you know what, GGF is enough to snuff, and so far he's been up there. And then I was like, even thinking like in a moment of like lapse of judgment, and I was like, yeah, but like he's not gonna have a setter as good as Spertoli on the national team. And I was like, wait, that's a stupid thing to think.
Speaking of opposites, Everett, that we have vested interest in, I wanted to talk about the Milano Derby, Monza versus Milano. And again, I'm not pulling any major conclusions about Monza until they have everybody available. Or that Arthur Schwartz was pretty good, except he got blocked 6 times, so that's not great. But he did have 23 points. We did see the debut of Ivan Zaitsev in a Monza jersey on the left side.
Did you see that clip of him coming down and like shaking Cachopa?
Yeah.
And yelling at his face face. It's so awesome.
So Monza is basically running a retirement home over there because they got Zaitsev. They're still waiting on Juan Terena, who's like come in and passed a little bit. and we still haven't seen Taylor Averill yet. So I'm not making any meaningful conclusions about Monza. But Milano, who looked really bad at the beginning of the season, looks better. They look like the fifth-ish best team in the league right about now, which is where I would have put him preseason. And Ferry Rager is putting up numbers, man. 29.
Ivan Zaitsev, as you said, Wantarena, but also Thomas Beretta.
He's old.
He's old. He
looks old. He looks old out there
for sure. I'm interested to watch Zaitsev over the next little bit, because let's just say that in my setting of the previous last week, I heard Zaitsev's name mentioned once or twice.
In a setting on a different surface, maybe a softer, warmer surface.
That's all I'm going to stay on that matter. So yeah, I'm very interested to watch Zaitsev over the course of this season.
All right, me too. Shout out Jordan Schnitzer, by the way, Canadians. Seeing him in the SuperLega is cool. Speaking of Canadian middles, normally I would never even want to talk about a Padova versus Gratazzolina match, but it was the longest match in the history of the SuperLega at 2 hours and 58 minutes, which is completely insane. You had a 28-26, you had a 28-30, you had an 18-16 tiebreak. So a coast-to-coast banger of almost 3 hours, and your boy Danny Demyanenko was 16 points.
You know what? I really like the move of Demyanenko to Gratazzolina, because it allows him to really show off how good he can be in arguably the best league in the world, in one of the top leagues. And now he's a guy that just dominated kind of in his time in Canada, both at the club level and at the university level. And then just because of his size, wasn't really given the shot at first for the national team, and really had to establish himself in France at first. So I love the fact that Demyanenko is putting up 16 points in a 5-set match with 7 blocks. Like, that is absolutely ridiculous. Because I really think that the way he's playing, there's a lot of teams in the SuperLega, or maybe in Poland, where like quality playoff teams are looking at Demyanenko, and I was like, this is a guy who can come in and play. And when you consider that maybe 2 of the best, most elite setters in the world are undersized, like, there is a lot of room now in the game for guys who are dynamic like Demyanenko, who are a little bit undersized but can still play at that level.
Yeah, I agree. Dynamic, undersized middles, I think you meant, not setters.
Sorry.
But I've always loved Danny's game. He's awesome. However, Gratazzolina did not win this match. That was Padova. Velko Mashulovic, 26. I think he's like he's young and Serbian, and he's left-handed, and I like him. I was comparing him to Dusan Petkovic.
I'm pretty sure we saw him at. Didn't we see him at?
No, so there's another Mashulovic. He's a middle.
Okay.
This is not the same guy. But he's putting up a lot of points, and for some reason, somehow Marko Sedlacek is as well. I don't know what's going on there.
I kind of like what's happening at Padova. They're making a few too many errors for my liking. Sedla, whatever you're doing. But like Luca Poro, 13 for 23, only 1 error. He got blocked four times though. So
he did get yanked. His reception wasn't very good.
No, that's fair. But yeah, like, Padova's doing what Padova does, right? They put together a decent team and stay relevant all year long. So this is a good win over them. I would have liked to see. They probably would have liked to see 3 points, but still a W is a W.
Yeah. Just looking at Perugia stats, they took care of Cisterna in 4. Bentara, 21 points, 18 for 27, attacking, 2 errors. That's pretty good. Ole Plotnitsky, Kamil Semeniuk, both extremely good. And this is something that I'm interested in, is like, how does Perugia spin the dial of 3 very good and sort of stylistically similar outside hitters? How do they balance the rhythm, the reception chemistry, the rest, like all that between Ishikawa, Semeniuk, and Plotnitsky? This time Ishikawa sat. Perugia looked quite good. I mean, their 3 outside hitters are all 3 world class, but it's just an interesting lineup wrinkle to have that much talent and have to figure out.
I literally think at this point in the season, you just go click, 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 click.
Give him 2 games on, 1 game off. I kind of agree.
For sure. I would, if I'm, who's coaching this team now? I forget every year.
Lorenzetti.
Oh yeah, okay. We do have a little bit of continuity continuity.
Yeah.
If I'm Lorenzetti, I'm just going to see what my chemistry is between all three of my top guys. Right. And I not only do I want to see that chemistry, but I want to create that chemistry. Right. Well, I want to be able to create a little bit of familiarity, put them in situations that may be a little bit uncomfortable for them to grow early on in the season. Right. Because if you have that quality of outside duo on any given night, when it comes down to the end of the season, when you're in the playoffs, when you're in the Champions League, right, you're going to have to go to any combination of those three guys. Right. Hell, throw a bunch of them on as a three outside hitter once in a while. Let's see what that looks like.
Don't hate it.
Especially early in the season. I'm playing Toronto. Let's see all of you guys out there.
I mean,
just to see.
Yeah, I don't hate it. I mean, they gave Gianelli the game off in this one. They started Francesco Zoppolari, some bald guy who I've never heard of.
See that, Fefe? It can be done. You can win without Gianelli. He doesn't need to be him all the time.
Thank you.
Okay?
Free Spirtoli.
Goodness gracious.
Free
Spirtoli's a top 10 center in the world. What are we doing?
Free
what are we
him.
Doing? Goodness gracious.
Teo 4 was good for Cisterna. Everybody else sucked. And Perugia, 11 aces to 20 errors. That's gnarly. I have nothing else about Italy to talk about, Everett. Do you?
No.
Oh wait. There's one more very important thing I have to check. I haven't watched Piacenza. Stephen Marr wasn't on the roster this last game. I don't know where he was, but I was wondering to see just how bad Uroš Kovacevic was. And this game, in a 3-1 win over Toronto, he was actually serviceable. So, maybe Marr just got a day off. I don't know.
Maybe. I know that he's been posting on Instagram as of late, so I know.
Which is very rare for Steve. As we know.
It's like, what, we having a new era of Stephen Marr here?
Yeah, he's dating Molly Lohman, an American girl who played volleyball in Minnesota. Good for them. He's got one of the cutest dogs in the world too, big white fluffy Samoyed. Is he hurt?
That's what Burkai and Night Owl are saying in the chat here.
Bummer.
Yeah, big bummer.
Yeah, hope the best for Steve. Before we move on, Everett, do you have anything else about the SuperLega? Because I agree, this has been a lot of chalk, and it doesn't really excite me a lot these days. It's too early in the year.
Too early in the year, and yeah.
All right, let's talk about two things.
Uroš had a daughter today. He'll be out next week, so hopefully Mar's back.
Ooh, hope so. Otherwise, you're rocking Andringa and Montaracha. That'll be a tricky one. All right. First and foremost, we talked about it earlier, but you need a VBTV subscription. I mean, you just do. There's more and more getting added to it. We're going to talk about the V League later, and we can give you free money. VS10 discount code for 10% off. Use that. There's a link in the description that takes you right over there. So you will be lost on this show without a subscription to VBTV.
And
you just will.
In the past, I would understand why you wouldn't want to go get a VBTV subscription, but now there's literally it has to be one of the best things in sport. There is not another sport that has all of their best leagues and competitions in one place.
Dude, what you have to go through in America now to even watch the NFL is outrageous. And if it was all in one place like VBTV is, it would be really a better viewing experience. And from what we understand, VBTV is not done expanding what they're covering. So you're going to want to pick that up. You're just going to want to. The other thing you're going to want to do is keep an eye out for Daddy. Oh boy, Daddy Stankovic. Happy belated 39th birthday to Daddy Stankovic, my absolute hero. And to celebrate, I have hidden him somewhere in the show. So keep an eye out for Daddy Stankovic. If you see him, you need to take note of where he is and comment the timestamp of where you found Daddy in the video in the main YouTube comment section after the stream is over. So don't do it in the live chat, but wait until the stream is over and comment the timestamp of where Daddy is, and you will get a shout out the following week. And speaking of that, last time we did a show was about 2 weeks ago. Daddy there featured celebrating with his new team Norwich Czestochowa. So good for Daddy. I need to look at the comments and see who found him first. Who do I need to shout out? 1 second. Yep, we've got a handful of people. Gabriel Brinkman, Daddy and Norvid team photo. Yep. Anthony Lee, Daddy with Milad. Did we see it before? All right. So we saw some people finding Daddy Stankovic. Keep an eye out for him. You know the drill by now. Everett, where do you want to go next? What do you want to talk about next?
I think we just have to stay in Italy. talk about the women. There is a few things happening. I thought Novara was on the downslope after losing to Chieri, but they bounce back and take down Malonza of all teams. So that one is, you have to talk about it.
Yeah, nice game.
Malonza also beat Chieri, so there's some nice little triangles happening so far. Where do you want to start with this, Rob?
So Malonza beating Chieri. Malonza is still doing all of this without Paola Egonu. Remember, she had like some kind, I think it was sinus surgery. I think she had her tonsils removed or something of that nature. They just posted an update about her today that she had some like post-operation thing done that was a success and that she's recovering on schedule. But like, they're missing the best player in the world and they're still like hanging in there, or one of the best players in the world, hanging in there pretty well. This Novara game, the 5-setter was pretty nuts. Anna Denesi is a middle blocker and put up 20.
Middle blocker with a 20 dong is a lot. That's a lot.
12 kills, 7 blocks, and an ace is ridiculous, but in a losing effort because Novara's new token Russian opposite, Tatiana Tolok, dropped 30 on 60 attempts. We said it 2 weeks ago. That's maybe the most Novara signing of all time, and she's paying off right now. Good for her.
That is a crazy result there.
Crazy.
For Novara, and like maybe this year will be interesting.
Speaking of,
let's be honest.
As a reminder of Everett and I's season-long stance on the Lega Volley Femminile, I have decided to be a Conegliano stan and hope that they continue their dominance. And Everett is rooting for the field. So
so far, that's not looking great for me.
No, it's not. now, Egonu is out, so take that for whatever it's worth. But this Tatiana Tolok girl looks very good. Speaking of good middle performances, Federica Squarcini with 16. That's a lot. It's not 20, but it's a lot. And on the Scandici side, Ekaterina Antropova has been lighting it up. That's no surprise to anyone. She's tremendous.
Yeah, that is.
Speaking of Scandici, big news here. Did you see this? Stefan Antiga is gone as Scandici's head coach.
Do we know why?
We don't. I looked it up just today, and I saw the announcement a week or so ago, but we do not know why. We do not know where he's going. I do not know. I mean, he was coaching. Antiga's path is pretty well documented. He coached the Polish national team. He was coaching the Rzeszów women for the last several years. So he's been in or around Poland for a long time, even though he's French. So he left Scandici right after the Olsztyn job opened up. So he was kind of connected to that, but I haven't heard anything about it since. If anyone knows in the chat, let us know.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
Somebody said conflict with players on the Scandici side, and some of the players didn't like him and wanted him out. I don't know.
Very interesting. Who's playing for Scandici this year? That would be a whiner. Let's take a look here. Who looks like a whiner from Volleybox?
I mean, maybe Carl, Brazilian middle. I don't know. Antropova doesn't strike me as a complainer. I chatted with her once. She was a fantastic person. Maybe like a Britt Herbots, who apparently is the captain of that team now. I don't know what's going on there. Andropova's putting up big numbers for
Marco Kaspari coming in to coach this team.
Yeah, he was at Malonza last year. I actually don't hate that signing.
No, that's actually a pretty good pickup for Scandici,
especially being in the middle of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. So you got a guy who's got quite a few years coaching for teams in the league. So yeah, that's not a terrible result there for Scandici at all.
Night Owl in the chat says too many foreigners and none of them wanted to be benched. Scandici's done that forever though. They've rostered too many foreigners than they have court spaces for.
Oh, I actually remember hearing something that there's some issues with Brenda. Like Brenda was complaining because she wasn't playing.
Interesting. I mean, Brenda's the best libero in the world, but you've got foreigner limit constraints and you've got other spaces on the floor that who knows. Well, their lineup their last game was a 3-0 over Perugia, who is terrible. and their starting lineup was Herbots and Lindsay Ruddins, who's American at outsides. Antropova opposite, obviously. Julia Gennari setting, obviously. Brenda did play at libero. Then Lyndon Wakalor and Anna Carolina in the middles. So their three Italians were Wakalor, Gennari, and Antropova. But they have Maya Onjenovic. They have Kara Bajima. They have Camila Mingardi, who's never going to play. They have an Italian backup libero, so maybe Gaspari is just a yes man for the high-paid foreigners, but they've still got some things to figure out with how they built the roster, which they do every single year, I swear.
I honestly think that most volleyball clubs are really stupid. Like, most professional volleyball clubs are really dumb.
A lot of them are dumb, which makes the smart ones seem a lot smarter than maybe they are.
100%. It's like I remember back in the day when I was coaching college volleyball, and me and the head coach Josh Nickel were just like dumbfounded how easy it was put together a team with like no recruits, literally a bunch of walk-ons, like zero, like very little club experience, and become nationally ranked in college volleyball just by like playing the basics of volleyball and doing like the basic things right, like serving the ball to their best player consistently so they break, right? Like
yes.
just normal things that like should be like baselines of strategy that you learn in like 14 and 15U that for some reason professional coaches can't do.
I don't get it. There's a lot of dumb people, a lot of dumb organizations in volleyball. People in the chat are asking us to talk about another coaching move. We will get to that later on in the show. I don't really have that much else about the Lega Volley Femminile. There's just been a lot of three dongs and a lot of chalk. There just hasn't been that much yet that has excited me. It's early, and Paola Egonu isn't playing, and Conegliano is the best team, and they haven't played anybody good at all, and they haven't been challenged. But I don't know. It hasn't done it for me yet.
Yeah, no, me neither. All right, let's move forward here.
Let's move forward. A couple things to talk about out of the Turkish leagues, both leagues. The first is on the men's side. One very good game between two good teams. Halkbank beat Ziraat Bank in 5. 5-set banger there. Matt Anderson switches positions in the middle of the match and drops 29. Played 3 sets at outside, 2 sets at opposite, 24 for 40 attacking. He's just the man. Tunchek Stern apparently couldn't get it done, but wasn't enough because Marek Shotala 28 points on 25 for 33 with 0 errors, 76% efficiency. That's pretty sick. Mirza Lagumja was really good as well.
That's pretty gross. That is a pretty gross stat line in that. Matt Anderson, LA 2028. Let's go.
LA 2028 at age like 42 or 43, whatever he would be at the time. Whatever. I'll take him.
He's still putting up numbers.
I'll absolutely take him for presence alone, especially if he takes 1 or 2 well-deserved summers away from the national team.
Yeah, 50% efficiency is still wild.
It's outrageous. He's so at 2 different positions. It's incredible. Yeah. He's so good. I love that, man. That's the only thing I saw in the Turkish men's league. Is there anything else you saw you want to talk about?
No, not on the. I have seen nothing.
All right. Turkish women's side. I'm trying my best here. Congratulations to Fenerbahce for winning the women's Turkish Super Cup. They beat Eczacıbaşı in 4. There are no stats for this game, at least none that I could find.
Love that.
Which is annoying.
Volleyball.
Yeah, the Turkish leagues have moved over to Volley Station, which is awesome. But for like the one-off competitions like Super Cup, whatever, like I can't find any of the games. So
that's fair.
If somebody has stats, please let me know. But yeah, Fenerbahce is really good. They're the best team in the league on paper. I did see the clip of the winning point. It was an absolute mash, like straight down bounce ball down the line by Anna Cristina. So they're really good. Teams. I mean, I'm enjoying the opportunity to watch Arina Fedorovtseva play again. It feels like she's forgotten about while Russia continues to be excommunicated, but she is at least the second best outside hitter on the planet. It's important to remind people of her.
You think?
It's her and Gabi. I still think it's Gabi 1, Arina 2, Li Yingying 3. And honestly, Anna Cristina is not far behind. She's probably between 4 and 7 at this point.
All right, I don't hate that.
Yeah,
I don't hate that at all.
Yeah, Fenerbahce is good. The other, I don't have an asset for this because it's not official, but the rumor coming out of the Sultanlar Ligi is, Everett, that Zé Roberto, the esteemed Brazilian longtime Hall of Fame head coach, is leaving THY Istanbul. That is the rumor, and it sounds like there's a lot of drama swirling around that team as well, who has put together rosters just filled with Brazilian players over the years.
Yes.
So Turkish people, please wait. Arena's not on Fenerbahce anymore. She's chilling out in China. Good for her. Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't watch this Fenerbahce game. I just assumed that she was still there. Maybe she's doing the Vargas thing where she's chilling out in China and then is going to come back mid-year like Vargas always used to. It doesn't mean Arena's not a top 2 outside hitter in the world. Anyway, Zé Roberto apparently hasn't been announced, but I guess he's leaving THY. Can you guys tell us a little more about this?
I also heard about this from some people recently, and it sounds like it's real.
Okay, I bet you talked to some people in Brazil about it, but what's the drama? Does anybody in the chat know the drama? Do you know the drama?
I don't know the drama. I just heard that he was leaving.
I mean, sometimes you get mid club season coach firings in like January, but in October, like 3 decently high profile coaching vacancies like Olsztyn, Scandici, and THY in October.
Yeah, I don't really understand because like it's so many like after winning like wins too, right? Like it's weird.
Well, I'm sure there's been a lot of conversation about it in the Turkish chat, the Turkish channel in the Volleyball Source Discord lately. So I'm gonna refer everybody to that to talk about this. Berkay and Robin's hair in the chat are like, yeah, I'm done. They're done. It's all sorts of a circus. Robin's hair says he hopes they get relegated somehow. So that's a good plug for the Volleyball Source Discord. There's a link in the description. You're gonna wanna join that, and that's where you can find more discussions on the Zé Roberto THY topic. I'm going to dig into it as well. Very interesting. All right, Everett, last but not least, I think it's time to talk about a league that we've alluded to a lot and have like had on the outside of our periphery for a long time, but all of a sudden it is very much either in the spotlight or close, and that is the SV League in Japan. And first and foremost, you can watch this on VBTV now, unless you're in Southeast Asia, because there's a bunch of local broadcasters that have it in that part of the world. But everywhere else, West Asia and everywhere west, Europe, Americas, whatever, you can watch the SV League on VBTV now. And there's a lot of reasons to do so because they've expanded their foreigner situations, and there's pretty good teams with bigger names, bigger foreigner names than ever. And Everett, I know you've been digging into this a lot. So like what in kind of your macro lens view has been going on with like the ascension of this league in the last 6 months?
Well, there's a few things. As you mentioned, Rob, the foreigner limit has increased to 2, which from 1 to 2 is a big one, but also which is massive. But also you have to realize that the way the Japanese team league worked, in that in a lot of ways it wasn't considered a professional league in Japan. And by that I mean is that a lot of the athletes on the teams, especially the local ones, were company owned, and that's why you have these big company names that own some of the teams. And what I mean that some of these athletes would literally go work a job for the company and then also play on the company team. Now, obviously, this wasn't happening to any of the foreigners that were playing, but it was definitely a lower budget league. Now, they've had some things move around, and essentially it is making all the teams move into a professional setting. It set a floor of how a minimum spend that all teams are going to have to meet. It's added a foreigner spot. They're investing into the media side of things. They're investing into the TV product, and it's all being run by a guy who, a new member of their professional team, who did the exact same thing and built both Japan's soccer league and basketball league. And now, if you know anything about the rise of Japanese soccer, they went from being almost non-existent on the international level to being a legitimate, probably top 20 team and having a legitimate league. And it's the same thing kind of with basketball, where they've really built some things up. So the now SV league, because it's the Super V league, is really trying to compete with some of the top leagues in the world. and this plan, they are going to be opening up another foreigner spot in the league in a few years, so that they're going to be having a third foreigner spot. And also, I do believe they're going to be opening it up so that it's not just 3 foreigners, but it's 3 foreigners on the court, which is going to allow them to have more foreigners on the roster. And they're also going to be allowing foreigner spots in the B League in the second tier as well. So there's going to be a much more investment and, looking in, and that's why we're seeing these partnerships with VBTV to global, like make the SV League a global brand. And so far, it's looked great. Like watching some of these matches, the SV League matches on VBTV, the courts that they look fantastic. And then also you have some of the biggest stars going to chase some of the biggest contracts. We're talking about DeFalco, Lucarelli,
Slivka, Nemir, Mazursky, who's been there forever, Thomas Jeschke, Miguel Lopez, like the names are like
Evans.
Evans. It's insane. And Matsui Muzai, for whatever that's worth, he's over there. It's much more interesting to me than it ever has been. And that's one of the things is I want to see how those elite, highly paid foreign players come into the Japanese league and play a completely different style from what they're used to. I mean, it's completely different.
It is completely different, but also too, like, it looks like, dude, DeFalco has been having a time. He's been dropping like multiple 20-point games. He's playing with Sakita. It's like him, Lucarelli, and Sakita.
Lucarelli's minorly injured, so he's been out for a little bit. But in the beginning of the season, they still look damn good, though.
Yeah, Sakita addition to DeFalco is a bit of a cheat code.
Yeah, and this is the JTech Sings, by the way. We should attach team names to some of these players. So, what I look for in these Japanese rosters is recognizable Japanese names, and then the foreigner talent, and then the coach, if I have any idea who they are. And like roster construction wise, JTech Stings, Sakita, national team starting setter, Miura, starting caliber national team opposite, DeFalco and Lucarelli, which is sick. And then a couple of middles, names who I actually recognize. Kentaro Takahashi was an Olympian. Go Murayama's been around. And then Ogawa is their second libero on the national team. Like, that's a sick roster.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I mean, like, the Sakai Blazers are the number 1 team in the league right now, and they're 4-0. They're the only team who haven't lost a game, led by Schwan Vernon Evans, who has 99 points in 4 matches so far, which is average.
Luciano Polonsky's on that team.
Yeah, exactly. As far as the Japanese guys, they don't have as many guys that I recognize. But I think that's going to change as we get to watch the SV League a little bit more.
Yeah, you got the Hiroshima Thunders. You have Oriol Camejo, the old Cuban outside, and Felipe Roque, who's like the massive Brazilian lefty. Looks like he's been tearing it up so far. And that's where Javier Weber is coaching, by the way.
Okay.
So for anybody curious about what he's been up to since leaving Ulstein and what maybe we still don't know who the new USA men's national team coach is going to be. So Weber's sitting over there in Japan. You have Osaka Bludion, who's like formerly the Panasonic Panthers. Okay. They're rebranded. They've got Jeschke and Miguel Lopez, which is sick. They've also got Yuji Nishida. They've got Yamamoto at libero.
That's a team.
They've got Yamauchi as one of the national team middles. I don't know much about their setters, but like they're gnarly on the wings at least. I mean, Jeschke, Lopez, and Nishida, those 3 arms. That's crazy.
That is really good.
And then Yamamoto, very different style of play to watch. It's exactly what you would expect from the Japanese national guys and guys from the national team and otherwise. It's not quite as much service pressure. It's definitely not as much blocking, but the backcourt defense is absolutely insane. And that's why like high volume, high efficiency scoring is more difficult, in my opinion, in a league like this, because just scoring points is so hard. These guys are so gnarly good at defense. So what DeFalco's been doing so far is all that much more impressive to me.
Yeah, I mean, he is playing with one of the best setters, and one of the best setters for that style of play too. Like Sakita is just a guy who's going to put you in a good position, and he's going to give him a lot of openings, and that's why he's been detonating balls in Japan.
Looks fun.
Yeah. Looking at this, looks like Tokyo, the Great Bears, Alex Denner Ferreira from Portugal, and Matsui Muzai. That's meh. Yeah.
Everyone knows my thoughts on Matsuya Muzai.
Who else is anyone else in this?
Suntory Sunbirds is where Dmitry Mazursky has been forever and a half. So they've put some Cuban guy, Alain de Armas, next to him, who I don't know who he is, but they also have Alexander Slivka, who I don't think is healthy yet, and Ron Takahashi. So that's where Ran ended up after coming back from Italy.
Sorry, the Nagoya Wolf Dogs have Namir Abdelaziz and Tina Ernout and a couple of other Asians. So they have Zhongchen Wang from China and then Ravam Nurmulki from Indonesia. And so there's also another foreigner rule on top of that in the SV League that I forgot about, Rob, that you can bring in other foreigners from other Asian countries don't count in the foreigner. Like there's a specific foreigner rule for other Asian country foreigners,
which is really, really good because good players from other countries in Asia in East Asia that aren't Japan need a place to go to get better.
Yeah.
So that's really good news. 2 comments on Namir. First of all, Namir has hair.
Namir has hair.
Did you even know that Namir was capable of growing hair?
I've followed Namir since 2013 when he was a setter, and I've never seen him hair.
His hair's good. Like it's good and normal and so that was weird. Also, I saw him get clamped by Sakita twice in one game. You see those highlights? That was pretty funny.
Oh yeah, I did actually. I did see those. I will say though, the J League, the SV League, has some of the best jerseys in the game right now.
Good jerseys.
Those JTech jerseys, the gold and red ones, are filthy.
It's good team names. I want one. English branding and logos too, like Thunders, Stings, Blazers, Sunbirds, Great Bears, Arrows, Tridents, Wolf Dogs. Love it.
We should make a trip to Japan here, Rob, and go check it out.
That would be something. So the SV League, as it's now called, thank you, Everett, is on VBTV, and you should watch it. And we're going to look at it. And we're going to talk about it. The things that I'm curious about. One is, are these teams going to play Club World Championships next year? We kind of talked about it at the top of the show. The other thing is the format of this league. This is what I don't really know about. I know it's a 10-team league and only 6 make the playoffs. That's whatever. What I heard is that these teams are playing 44 regular season matches.
Yeah, they play 2 games a weekend back to back.
That's crazy. That's way too much volleyball.
Yeah, it's a lot. They are going to be playing a lot of volleyball.
So that is concerning to me, is if the format costs what would otherwise be a good product.
Also think about it, Rob, is that you're not going through a normal high level team in the SuperLega is going to play is there a Japanese cup like there is there a cup series in Japan like there is in Italy and in Europe? Let's figure that out. People in the chat, let us know. You're not playing a European schedule in the same way that you're not playing a CEV schedule, right? So even that's going to add, if you're playing a Champions League, that's going to add a number of matches.
Travel is relatively limited. I mean, Japan is not that big of a country in land area.
Exactly. So maybe there's some things, but that's if you're playing 2 matches a week, that's still,
dude. No, back-to-back games and back-to-back days of this level should not be a thing. That should not happen. Not in a league when you have 8 months to play the thing. That should not happen.
Yeah, I would tend to agree, but that's always the way that's the way Japan's been always.
Yeah, that's I mean, I talked to Thomas Jeschke this summer, and he said that a lot of the reasons that he thought he was having right shoulder issues is because of the volume and the number of games, the number of swings that he took in Japan last year. So that's I'm sure that a lot of the players considered that when going there. Everyone's got a price. I mean, money solves a lot of issues. But we're going to continue to follow this league. I'm curious about it. I'm curious about the product of it. Obviously, it's on way late at night, early in the morning, horrible times for us in North America. But yeah, now that these teams are good, or there are more good teams and more star caliber players, I'm really curious to see what the level looks like when good teams play each other, and just get a feel for the product overall, even for some of the additional media and marketing things and the way that it's broadcasted and all that. So we're going to have our fingers on this league, on the pulse of this league more than we have in the past. And also, if you're interested in it, the women's SV league is also on VBTV. That's a league that I'm much less interested in and a lot less star power, but it exists and it is also on VBTV. So VBTV is really expanding what they're covering this year. I mean, the PlusLiga pickup alone was just incredible.
Yeah, like adding PlusLiga and the fact that, like, I mean, Rob, we're never going to be able to watch one of these SV League matches live.
Oh, no, no chance.
Not in a sober state, anyways.
Yeah. That could be drunk stream material at 1 a.m. or whatever.
If one night, if we both go out, message each other and just be like, you
want to do a
you want to do a drunk watch along of an SV League game, but just having it back on, like having it on demand is going to be massive.
Absolutely. People huge. In the chat say, have you heard about the rumor of Perugia going to Osaka, Japan next October for a duo match with the Suntory Sunbirds in the preseason?
Oh, if that's happening,
that would be awesome.
If that's happening, I'm going.
Love it. I think that's a great idea. I think people in Japan are going to see what Perugia
it
looks like.
People are talking like this is happening.
Okay. Well, yeah, October of 25. That's 2-3 dongs. It's going to be 2-3 dongs, but I'm excited to see it. You think that if it's this year's Perugia, I don't know what Perugia is going to look like next year. This year's Perugia does not drop a set to a Japanese team. There is no way. But especially if Yuki Ishikawa is still there, then it will sell massive amounts of tickets.
Massive amounts of tickets, yeah, for sure.
All right, boys and girls, I think that's a show. Everett, do we have anything else we need to tell the people?
No. Tune in to our show next week on Monday. We'll get to you guys at a time. That'll be live and in person, so that would be a fun one. And yeah, that's about it. I'm excited to spend a little bit of time watching some indoor volleyball this week because I haven't done that.
Yeah, you've been swamped by the beach. That's a good problem to have going down to Brazil. But yeah, I'm excited to see you, Everett. It's been a long time. We've got a lot to catch up on. So yeah, I'm flying to Toronto on Monday. Everett and I are going to do a show on Monday afternoon and maybe some other shenanigans. So stay tuned for that. In the meantime, join the Volleyball Source Discord where you can talk about all the matches that are going on this week, and we will see y'all on Monday.
Yep. And also head over to VBTV and use the code VS10. Save some money, make us some money. Peace out. We love you. Bye.